We've all heard the exact same advice hundreds of times. You have to think outside the box, right? I've said it, you've probably said it, we've all certainly heard it a bunch of times. You have to think outside the box. But the problem with thinking outside the box is that it's really not that helpful. The box is just the sum of all of our values and every decision we've ever made to date. And naturally, we have to set that down if we want to figure out how to go forward, because it's holding us back. Today's success is the enemy of tomorrow's success, right? But the problem with saying to think outside the box is it's really only telling us what not to do. Okay, we've set it down. We're outside the box. Now what? Now what do we do? This is where the history of innovation can be really insightful. If we go all the way back to the beginning of the Industrial Revolution and look at every single major innovation that's been made from then until now, we'll notice the same pattern. That 90% of all of those innovations were really nothing new. They were just creative recombinations of existing patterns, what we call creative imitation. Let me give you an example. In the early part of the 20th century, King Camp Gillette of the Gillette Company created the Gillette razor. And the apocryphal story goes that he created this unit that you would buy, that you would keep forever, but which blade you would have to buy ongoing. And the business model innovation that set it apart from all the others was to sell that initial unit really cheap and make tons of money on expensive disposable razors, right? So you have this unit that you keep, and you just keep swapping out the razors on top of it. We call it the razors and blades model after that. Truly innovative, truly new. At least the apocryphal story goes. But that same pattern can be seen throughout a number of other businesses that we would also consider truly innovative. It was used by the Hewlett-Packard Company in their inkjet printers. Inkjet printers were largely inexpensive. They were relatively cheap, but those printer cartridges were outrageously expensive, and you'd have to keep buying them as ink ran out. It's razors and blades. When Apple came out with the iPod, right, they were not the first MP3 player. They were not the second MP3 player or the third MP3 player. What they did that was different was offer this store that you could go into, the iTunes store, and buy music to load onto it, where that one purchase turned into many purchase ongoing, because they take a share of that pie for every single song that was sold after that. Razors and blades. Kindles, cell phones, all of that, same thing, razors and blades. And all these other companies did was creatively imitate what was happening or what had already happened in some completely different industry. And that's the nature of innovation. It's creative recombination or creative imitation. It's not always about creating something wholly new. It's about seeing something somewhere else and going, that's interesting, and then bringing that over into a completely different industry or a completely different vertical, and now making something that's new. It's not really about thinking outside the box. Because we're talking about just creatively identifying and selecting and recombining patterns, it's not about just thinking outside the box, but actually about finding the right box in which to think. My challenge to all of you is to think about whatever it is that you're running, whether that's a brand new startup that you're just now starting to think about, or maybe that you've gotten to market, or maybe a company that you've been running for years, or maybe just a small division inside of a much larger company. To take that thing and think about the concept of innovation. Think about patterns from other industries and how you could apply them here. In other words, think about how can you be a game changer in your industry.